I never thought I would make much selling my clutter, but then I looked at my Vinted account and I saw this. Over £1,400 just from selling random items, clothes, basically a lot of my clutter. But it took a bit of time for me to realize what works and what doesn't when it comes to selling on Vinted. So if you want to go from this to this by selling your clutter, here are my best tips for you. When I first started selling, I wasn't sure which platform to choose, and to be completely honest, I chose Vinted kind of randomly. And one of the things that attracted me to it is that the seller has no fees. So the price that you put on your items is the price that you get paid, and the buyer also pays for postage. So it just makes it really easy from a seller perspective. But once I started using the platform, I realized it's actually so easy to use, so convenient, and it doesn't take as much time as I thought it would. So my tip number one for you, if you're trying to sell your items on Vinted and you want them to go a bit faster, is to take pictures with a clear, clean background. I don't mean you have to clean your entire house before you do this, but maybe just finding a corner that's not very cluttered and somewhere where you have not necessarily a white background, but just kind of a clear background. It can be a wall, it can be a clean floor, any surface like that, maybe a table, a place that has no clutter around it so that the item that you're trying to sell really stands out in the pictures. I have found this really helpful, and then when somebody goes through your wardrobe on Vinted, they can see everything laid out beautifully, and it's a bit of sales psychology here. In the past few years of learning all about marketing and business to try to grow my own online business, I have learned a few tricks like this, and obviously packaging and presentation is a big thing. Whether you sell on Vinted or whether you own a shop in town, when people come into your shop or when people look at your Vinted wardrobe, if they like what they see, if it's presented beautifully, it's just a much higher chance of them buying from you rather than from the next seller that's got items listed on there. My second tip that kind of goes along with this, so aside from having a nice clear background, is to make sure the item itself is quite smooth out and just laid out nicely. So if you're laying it on the floor, I always try to kind of smooth out the fabric, get most of the wrinkles out if needed, or you could also just hang it on a hanger and then pop the hanger out on either a nail you have on your wall. So sometimes I might actually even take a picture down of the wall just to put a hanger on there to take some Vinted pictures. And again, this really helps with the presentation of the product. My third tip for you is to have good lighting. This doesn't mean you have to have professional lighting at all. It's actually so simple to have good lighting in your pictures. It's all about looking for that natural light. I've actually seen a few items listed like this on Vinted where the person trying to sell them was holding the hanger with the item in front of a window and they were taking a picture like that. So if the item is against the window and you're taking the picture from this angle, the item is going to be pretty much blackened out. All of the texture and color will go from it, and it's just very hard to see the item properly. And it's such a simple solution to that. So if you just turn the item facing the other way so that the light hits the item, then it's going to bring out all of that texture, bring out the beautiful colors, and it's going to make a much nicer picture. So do use your windows and take the items as close as possible to that, because it will give a really nice lighting on your items, and that makes a really big difference as well. So if you've got good lighting and a clear background, then you're making the item look really appealing to possible buyers. One thing I found really interesting is I found this tip to never have your hands in the picture of your listing. So, not holding the hanger, but rather propping the hanger on something, or not putting your hand on it to show the label, but rather just, smoothing it out so that you can see the label without your hand in it. Apparently, it's some sort of psychological thing that I think can put some people off. I'm not saying if you do that, you're not going to sell the item, but it might just give you a higher chance if you don't have hands in your pictures. But I will say though, sometimes I feel like it helps if you take a picture of yourself wearing the item. You can just crop out your hat if you don't want that in the picture, but I think it just gives people a really clear view of what the item might look like on them. So it's kind of interesting, but that's what I have found through selling on Vinted so far. My next tip is to price realistically. Now, it really depends on the item, right? How much it cost when you first bought it, how much has it been worn, and what condition it is. So all of this can factor into the price. I would say kind of an average what I go for is maybe about half of the price that I got the item initially for. But again, it depends on a whole load of factors. Obviously, if it's brand new, it might be worth more. And also, I would set the price just a bit higher than what you would like to get. So let's say for an item you paid £50 and ideally you would like to get around £20–25 back. I would price it at maybe around 30, you know, if it's in good condition and everything or hasn't been worn much. Price it at 30, just a bit higher than you would like to get, because on Vinted people can make you offers. And it's also a bit of marketing psychology, right? If somebody makes you an offer and you accept that offer, they are very likely to buy because obviously they feel like they're getting a bit more of a bargain. So it's just kind of a little trick that you can do here. Price it a bit higher, accept offers, and if needed, you can always lower the price as well. So I find that, you know, if I've put an item on there and it's been 2 weeks, it's barely got any likes, not a lot of people have made any offers, that's my cue that either not a lot of people are interested in that item, which fair enough, or maybe I price it too high. So I will lower the price, see if that works, because it's better to just sell it even at a lower price than to just keep it in my closet and never wear it. And I think it's kind of tricky this, because we get sometimes really hung up on the price that we paid initially for the item. And myself included, I used to do this too, but I realized that that money is gone and in no way am I gonna get my money back through doing this. It's maybe just like a cherry on top, right? So you get a bit of money back while I'm decluttering my closet. So I tend to accept almost all offers, because my goal is to, you know, declutter this item, make sure it ends up with somebody who will appreciate it, and that's about it. So I don't get too hung up on the price. If it's something that's very high price, I might wait a bit longer or maybe hold on to the price a bit more if you feel like it. But I find that if I do that for too long, I'll just end up not selling the item, and in 2 months' time, I'll just donate it anyway for free. So just something to keep in mind here. Also ask yourself, is it the right season for this item? Like if I'm selling my kid's Halloween costume, but it's January, nobody's going to buy that, because, you know, people are only going to buy that kind of item usually around Halloween time. If I'm selling winter coats, but it's July, not a lot of people are likely to buy that. So you can either choose to just donate those items, or if you really want to sell them and get some money back, you can keep them maybe in a special box or bin where you keep items you intend on selling soon. And then when the season is right, you can post or list those items and you have a much higher chance of people actually buying those. I will say though, I wouldn't hold on to a whole lot of items that are off season, because that's going to likely be overwhelming and it's going to make you hold on to a lot of clutter in your home. So I would just kind of try to have a good balance here. Have a time frame. So I usually give myself about 2–3 weeks, kind of around that time. If something doesn't sell, I would maybe try to lower the price, as I mentioned, see if it sells then. If it still doesn't, then I'll probably just donate it, because there's no point in keeping all that clutter. If I've decided this I no longer need, I'm going to sell it, then I have made a decision. I don't need that in my life. That's clutter. And I'm just not wearing it, I'm not using it. There's no point in keeping it longer in my home. If you do have the storage space and you do want to, obviously you can keep items for longer to sell. This is just personally what I like to do. But I find that if I don't give myself a time frame, I'm very likely to just hang on to a lot of items that I don't truly need. And also make postage easy. So I mainly use InPost to deliver my items. So as a seller, you can select what type of postage you want to get. So what kind of shipping labels. And you can select, I think, InPost, Yodel, Every, Royal Mail, all of those kinds of things. For me, I mainly use InPost. And I think I have Every as well, because you can put those in InPost lockers as well. But I only deliver at my InPost locker because it's very close to me. It's convenient. And there are InPost lockers in so many places now. You don't have to go to, you know, a post office and sit in a queue and deliver your parcel. It's just so easy to go to the locker, scan the label. Sometimes you don't even have to print the label. It's just a digital one on your phone. And it's just so convenient for me. So try to look through those, see which ones are convenient to you, which ones are closest to your area. And if you can make this process easier, then you're much more likely to actually sell those items and to list more, because it's not going to be a big inconvenience. My one is quite close, so when I go out, when I go to the shop, I'm kind of walking past anyway, so I might as well deliver a parcel. Also, if you can deliver your parcels as soon as possible, that's always good, because the buyers will definitely appreciate that. And people will give you reviews on the kind of service you've provided. So if you can get a lot of good reviews, obviously people are more likely to buy from you. And also when it comes to sending your parcel, I don't really buy any special bags for that. I just use what I have because I usually have a few parcel bags or things like that that I've got with previous orders that I've made. So I will kind of save maybe 2 or 3 of those in a basket I have in a cupboard. And so when I sell something, I can just use those. I don't have to go out and buy a, postage bag and then put it in. It's just really convenient. So again, the easier you can make this, the better it will be for you. Let me know if you have sold anything on Vinted and how you're finding it. Let me know how you're getting on with your declutter, and I hope you're having a beautiful day.